Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Employability Skills Series, where we explore the top skills employers are looking for in candidates. Each week, we cover a different topic and thoughts and insights from professionals in a variety of industries. I am your host, Megan Morrow, Associate Director of Career Services, Business Careers. As a reminder, this will be recorded, and the link to all the recordings are sent to your Business 1115 professors. It's also posted in Canvas announcements in my class. But if you need the link and you're not in either one of those courses, feel free to email me. My email is listed on the screen for you, and I can send that link for you. Make sure you guys do scan the QR code or click the link in the chat box if you are looking to have your attendance counted. Also, keep your microphones muted and feel free to put any questions you might have in the chat pod. All right, so today I'll be discussing analytical and quantitative skills. It is just me today. We're going to talk about what they mean, why they're important, and how you can apply these skills to your resume, cover letter, and interview skills. All right, so analytical skills. What is this and why does it matter? You're going to be developing these skills through experience and reflection. You're going to learn to be able to solve complex problems, as well as use critical thinking, research, and data literacy. By using analytical skills, you quickly analyze a situation, a topic, or a problem, and it often works really well in a team setting to accomplish a goal. And we talked about the ability to work in a team in our first series with Jovan Reyes and how important that is. So with analytical skills, how do you bring value to the workplace? How do you kind of stand out from your competition? By bringing value, you learn to identify cause and effect relationships. You can identify the topic or the problem or the issue that might be arising, be able to gather information by testing and observing, develop solutions, maybe deepen your understanding of the topic. Then you can start to test these solutions, create new ideas, and then always that reflection piece where you review what worked and then assess and apply new knowledge. So like for an example, we have a customer service lead in a company. This customer service person might review customer refund data. They start to identify trends, which can help the team reduce the number of refunds. See, this skill alone could help make you eligible for a leadership position or possibly a promotion because you demonstrate your ability to bring value to a company. And saving a company money and having to go back and issue refunds would definitely be something they'd be interested in. So there are 4 key analytical skills that we're going to talk about. Critical thinking, data and information analysis, research, and then problem solving. So we're going to talk a little bit deeper about each one of these. Critical thinking is your ability to question preconceived notions, which can help identify issues or areas that need to be improved. You can help companies evolve beyond traditional practices. Often this is the very first step in the innovation process. So for example, say we have this logistics company. They might have used the same system for organizing inventory for decades. But this new operation manager comes in and might question the reason behind using a particular system and identify company needs and adapt or replace the system. This brings value to the company because you're saving the company resources such as time and money. Data analysis is where you're going to identify issues and solutions using data and therefore improve the decision-making process. So for example, let's say a cafe manager might collect data about when the most customers come into the cafe and what was ordered. This could help make staffing adjustments and prepare for incoming orders, thus increasing the cafe's efficiency and improving the customer's experience. Again, bringing value to the company by maximizing on the heaviest traffic flow, you're increasing customer retention, which ultimately increases profit margins, which allows the company or the cafe to grow and to expand. When people are happy with a place or a product, they tend to go back and keep using it, which again is going to increase the profit margins. So that is what is going to bring value to your company. Research is the process that might involve asking experienced coworkers for their insight into a problem, or possibly even conducting formal research and using external sources. Depending on the industry, you might also design research experiments to test different products or marketing approaches. Part of the research process also involves knowing what information is valuable or essential to solving the problem, which brings us to problem solving. You might test your solution or ask others for their feedback. So for example, let's say we have a manager of a recreation center. They might use surveys to collect information about what types of fitness courses the center members are interested in, and even when they may prefer to take those classes. So they might use that problem-solving skills to start to match potential classes with staff members who are qualified to teach them, and then finally collect the feedback on the course schedule so they can make adjustments, improving the customer experience, which would cause a rise in customer retention, which again is beneficial to the company. All right, so let's move over to some quantitative skills for a little bit. Quantitative skills were also known as quantifiable skills. These are the ability to make empirical inquiries, like through computational, mathematical, or statistical data, any type of this gathering of data and analysis. So any skill that uses or manipulates numbers, we could put into the quantitative skill category. This helps you make sense of numerical or categorical data, some scientific processes, maybe used to predict and control external circumstances. So that kind of hard, verifiable, quantifiable information. So companies value employees with these skills because they're useful in identifying trends that can influence business decisions. And these kind of skills are essential. Of course, you would think, statistics, algebra, but also economics, finance, and other business, majors or, fields of business want to be able to quantify. And if you're in my class, you hear me say that when we talk about your resume a lot, you need to try to quantify your statements that you on your bullet points and your previous experiences. So the 5 key quantitative skills are mathematical, scientific, survey, research, and analytical. So let's dive in a little deeper into each one of those. So your mathematical skills, common skills are like number sense, representation, maybe estimation, problem solving, computational abilities, inductive and deductive reasoning. And your science is, you're going to identify and answer questions to make decisions and draw conclusions based on facts. The scientific process is, you observe, clarify, measure, communicate, infer, and then predict. Again, using hard data, things that you can quantify. Survey skills include possibly designing questionnaires or creating sample forms and developing other types of standardized procedures. The aim with a survey is to collect data from each respondent while avoiding any bias that could influence the outcome, especially if it's maybe an anonymous survey or something that somebody would complete and then submit, but trying to minimize any biases. And these kind of skills include critical thinking. We're going to see that over and over in this type of skill set: critical thinking, active listening, and active learning, judgment, decision-making, coordination, persuasion, negotiation, and, even instruction and monitoring. Research is the ability to find answers to questions by searching, collecting, interpreting, and assessing information relevant to the subject, being able to pick out that relevant information. It involves searching for information, attention to detail, it's huge, taking notes, report writing, critical thinking, again, time management, planning, scheduling, all types of data collection and problem solving. And you bring value with these skills because a company, that is looking to maybe possibly research and investigate their competitors, they could use these skills to analyze customer and research markets. And then therefore they can then make adjustments if they see something that their competitors doing better than they are. So these are, again, skills that are going to bring massive value to the company or the organization. And analytical, like we just talked about, it's taking in new information and then mentally processing it to better understand the problem. And analytical skills can go across a wide variety of professions. It doesn't necessarily have to just be technical fields. So how can you improve your analytical skills? You improve your analytical skills, and that can help you achieve various career goals, such as like highlighting them on your resume or during an interview and cover letter. These are things that are going to help you stand out as a candidate in the hiring process. You're going to be one of many. So how are you going to make the impression that's going to make the employer either want to schedule an interview with you or offer you the job? So some ways that you can improve your skills. For analytical skills, pursue leadership roles that require the use of critical and analytical skills. Practice key analytical skills in your current role. Maybe you serve on the board or you serve in some type of executive position in a club or an organization or your work. You can take classes that emphasize the use of analytical skills. Participate in activities that require analytical skills, such as maybe team sports, games, or even just reading. Seek advice or mentorship from colleagues in your field or industry, as well as your professors. You guys can use the faculty and staff here at Florida Southern as a resource. We are here to help you succeed. So seek out someone that you connect with and use that person kind of as like a mentor. Also conduct research on practices for your industry. If you're going into something very specific, take the time now, research it so that you are fully aware of the type of skills that will make you successful in that field. Because it could be different, from one field to the next. So improve your subject matter knowledge so that you can solve more problems quickly. How are you going to improve your quantitative skills? First of all, you're going to have to get comfortable with numbers. So actively engage with problems that are associated with numbers. It can be something simple like calculating your grocery bill or something more complex like solving differential equations. Read more. Make it a habit to go through books and journals and articles, research papers, and other sources of information in your area of expertise. Increasing your knowledge and awareness just helps you to develop your skills, deeper, and it becomes easier to use these skills and highlight them again on a resume, cover letter, or in the interview process. Clear your concepts. What does that mean? You want to go through complex mathematical and scientific concepts and try to make them as easy for yourself as possible. So if you understand a concept, it just becomes easier. It makes sense, right? Prioritize accuracy. Always check. Go back and check and double check. Make sure that your problems are free of any kind of errors. Go back and work on a problem again if it increases the accuracy of your work. Make sure that you allow enough time while working on these particular quantitative problems. Allow yourself a specific amount of time to solve them. Don't rush through it. Don't put it on something last minute. Make sure that you give yourself enough time. This is necessary for improving your speed and productivity so that you can do it quickly and more effectively in the future. And then practice. Just like with anything you do, whether you play a sport or an instrument or dance or cheer, anything that you do, you have to practice. So take tests and quizzes. Try to solve as many questions and different types that you can. The more practice, obviously, the better chances of your quantitative abilities becoming a really great strength for you. All right, so how are we going to put them on our resume and our cover letter? And also, how are we going to highlight them in the interview? So in the resume, we would put this in your work experience section. So in your work experience, your resume is kind of dry. It's just the facts, but it's going to be these like really strong bullet points. And there is where you describe what you did in your previous job. So to highlight your analytical skills or your quantitative skills, you're going to describe how you use these skills, maybe like data management, to meet or exceed job requirements. So consider including concrete details like problems you solved to show your potential. If you can quantify your impact, you can quantify your statements, that employers really care about that. They care more about the effort you put into quantifying your results than the actual number. So if it's just like 5%, that still is something that you took the extra effort to make sure that you did. And the way that you can do this, when you're thinking about your resume and what you're going to put in your bullet points, I always tell my students or people when I review their resume, I'm like, so ask yourself, so what? So you answered, phone calls for a company, so what? So why was that important? What can you do? I mean, why did the company need you to do that? And then I could quantify it maybe by saying answered up to 100 phone calls a day for 7 departments to maximize, message delivery, something along those lines. But I'm quantifying my impact because I'm asking myself, okay, so what? So why was that important? You really want to drill down to the reason and the importance of the statement that you're putting on your resume. So for example, so you could say, have financial management skills. Well, if I can show what I did, it gives a lot more impact. So instead of just saying have financial management skills, I could say, demonstrated financial management skills by effectively completing spreadsheets, cash flow accounts, and ledger balances. So it's much more specific. And I'm telling all the things I've done. And I start with a strong action verb. So your quantifiable achievements really offer tangible evidence of your skills and expertise. So consider that when you're looking at your resume. All right, in your cover letter, you can use your cover letter to elaborate on your analytical skills you mentioned in your resume. So you review the job description and then think back on a time where you used analytical skills to solve a problem or improve your work output. You want to describe that situation in your cover letter using concrete details to explain the thought process and the solution. So consider choosing a situation related to the job description or industry to show the hiring manager that you have the skills to succeed in that position. It's very important that you tailor your resume and your cover letter specifically to each job that you apply to, in not just the job itself, but also the company. So it has to be relevant. So think about a time that you used these skills and you tell a story. I also highly recommend just writing this down and keeping like a running Word document so that you can reference these every time you have to go back and write a new cover letter. But use specific examples. In my previous role at Florida Southern as the Associate Director for Career Services, I did A, B, and C. And then I tell why. I tell a story behind it with concrete specific examples. And especially if I can say, I increased retention or I increased, positive outcomes by X amount, if you can come up with numbers. Your cover letter is being used as a writing sample. It's kind of like a barometer of your interest and creativity. And this also is an indicator of basically how well you might fit within the organization's mission. They're not just looking at your hard skills, they're also looking to see if you would be a good work culture fit. Are you going to add to it? Are you going to be a good, piece to it? Are you going to be a good team player? It's very important that you have that same fit, not just your skill set, but also are you a good fit? And then the interview. So before you interview, you're going to reflect on your past employment history, create a list of all of your accomplishments, have several stories ready to go that are going to highlight the skills and the things that you have already done with specific examples. You can also list the skills that help you achieve these triumphs, like problem solving or data literacy, as long as you kind of back that up with some experience that kind of showcases that you've demonstrated that skill. This way, so that when you answer interview questions, you can answer confidently and you can provide these details about your success in previous roles, always relating it back to the relevant job that you are applying for. You can also review the job description to connect your responses to the position, as well as make sure that you research the company. I know my students know that very well. All right, so this was a little bit different than the other ones that we have done so far, which is why I really am enjoying this series, because it seems like every week we get to try something new. So if you have any questions for me, I am happy if you put some in the chat pod. I can't see, I've got a lot going on my screen here. I don't see any messages in the chat pod, but thank you for joining me. I hope that you learned something. You again, please remember to scan the QR code or click the link in the chat pod to get your attendance counted. If you have any questions or would like to discuss any of these skills further, you are all welcome to make an appointment with me on Handshake if you'd like to discuss this. If not, thank you so much again for coming and have a wonderful day, everybody.